How's it going? It's Scary Jones, and welcome to another edition of CEO Unplugged. Today, I'm very excited because this is one of my hobbies. I'm here with a guy. His name is Johnny Aitken. Aitken or Aitken?
Aitken.
Okay, we're going to find out where he's from in a second. He's the CEO of PointsBet USA. And, okay, PointsBet. I hear the word PointsBet, and I'm thinking this could be a lot of fun. It involves a little bit of risk, some gambling, and maybe I could win some money right away. Right?
Spot on.
Online. Yeah,
Yep.
Love that. Where are you from?
So I'm from Australia, Melbourne, Australia, which is the sporting capital of the world.
Yep.
I know a lot of you sort of New Yorkers think that, it's here, but it's not. It's in Melbourne, Australia. But I lived here in the States for 18 months, sort of leading up PointsBet's efforts.
Right on. How did you get involved with PointsBet?
A couple of friends of mine started PointsBet probably 3 years ago in Australia. Australia's a very competitive sports betting market. And they had a very innovative thought how to enter the Australian market and get some cut through, with also an eye on entering America if the opportunity arose to enter the States for sports betting. And once sort of PASPA was repealed in the USA and that became a sort of realization, jumped on the first plane and joined PointsBet. And now I live here and head up PointsBet USA.
So talk a little bit about PointsBet USA. Obviously, first of all, explain what PointsBet specifically is to people that might not know.
Yeah, sure. So PointsBet's a sports betting operator. We operate online, so we have an iOS app and Android app. You can bet with us through the web, the desktop.
What kinds of things can you bet on?
You can bet on anything scary. So again, sort of one thing, I guess it's the point of difference with PointsBet is that we have the most markets in the world for every US sport. So an NBA game, we'll offer 1,000 markets on that NBA game. If we don't have a market, you actually have the right to call us up or to send us a tweet or to email us and name a bet, and we'll price it and get it up on the site. So
wow,
it's endless.
You can create like your own bets, types of bets.
That's right. It's called Name a Bet.
Name a bet.
Name a bet. Yep.
So if I want to be creative and I'm a Met fan,
yep, and
I'm going to say I bet that on the third pitch to Pete Alonso, he's going to foul one off.
Yep. That'd be plus 250 and it'd be up on the site. You can have a bet on it.
Wow.
Too easy. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's really unique. What a great spin.
Yep.
So there's no bet you won't take.
That's right. And again, the reason that we can offer that is that we know what we're doing. We're sort of bookmakers at heart. We have very good statisticians in our office and we can spin off these markets like that.
Yeah.
We're not, unlike other companies, getting a third-party vendor to do our odds for us. We do our own odds and markets.
Yeah. How do you come up with odds on a bet, especially if it's a name a bet?
Yeah, so it's just a risk sort of probability. So let's say Jacob deGrom to win the CY Young Medal. I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago he's 20-1. Now he's $6. You might go, I want to back Jacob deGrom to win the CY Young Medal, into the Yankees to win the World Series, into the Knicks to finish last in the NBA.
So you could put 3 bets together, 3 things that you think are going to happen. And Jacob deGrom, of course, ace pitcher for the New York Mets. He won the Cy Young Award last year. And
CY, we call it in
Australia. The Cy. We call it Cy Young. I don't know. Who knows who's right on these things? But that's really fascinating. And so you could put those all together and say, all right, so this happens and this happens. And this happens, all 3. But if you get 2 out of 3, do you get paid some of that, or you lose? Okay, but
it's all in or nothing.
Okay, but you create the probabilities.
That's right.
All right, awesome. So, talk a little bit about, just backing up from that a little bit. So PointsBet starting in Australia. Sounds like an amazing company already. Yeah. From when you guys, what made you come to America? And I know the rules have changed. And explain how the rules have changed for us Americans.
So prior to last year, sports betting was only legalized in Nevada, in the state of Nevada. And there's a famous court case last year called the PASPA case, where a decision was made to repeal that ruling, which then allowed each state in America to decide upon if they wanted to legalize sports betting. And what we've seen now in the past 18 months is states like New Jersey, Mississippi, West Virginia, Pennsylvania have all legalized sports betting. PointsBet, again, formed in Australia, was always formed with an eye on the USA. And why that is so is that our sort of brand, our positioning in Australia is centered on US sports. We like to be called the kings of US sports. A lot of people don't know this, but US sports are the fastest growing sports in Australia. Outside of America.
Yep. Oh, wow.
Outside of America, the NBA has the biggest market in Australia for their league pass, their merch. Australians are obsessed with NBA.
Fascinating, because some of them aren't doing so great in America. So they're doing better outside of America.
Well, Ben Simmons is going all right. But,
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we understand, US sports, and our offering in Australia is centered on, US sports. So when we came to the States, it's not like we had to sort of model our web business mechanics. We basically implanted the great foundations that we started in Australia and have now sort of added upon that in the last 12 months here in the States.
And is that what the major differences are between the two markets? Or if not, what are they? What is a big difference between the Australian betting market and the United States?
I'd say they're very similar. Probably the biggest difference is that Australians bet heavily on horse racing. Horse racing is thriving in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to explain that to an American, but horse racing is big business in Australia. But after horse racing, it's all about US sports. At 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. of an Australian day is when the main sort of US sports are on. The NBA, the MLB, the NHL in particular, the NFL.
Right.
If you go into any office in Australia, you'll see sort of people working or pretending to work. But in the bottom right screen of their a computer screen, they'll have the NBA League Pass on, and they're watching, the NBA, LeBron, Steph Curry.
Right. Now what is the term points betting mean, and how is that advantageous? I mean, you guys offer that. I don't know if anybody else does, correct?
That's right. So we're the only operator in the US to offer that, and obviously points betting leads to our company name, PointsBet. But
yeah, explain what that is.
What points betting is, so, and again, this is how PointsBet wants to differentiate and cut through a crowded market, is it's a very different product. A normal sports bet, you win or you lose. You back the Mets. If they win, you win. If they lose, they lose. With points betting, the more you're right, the more you win. So you might have a bet on the New York Knicks, and unfortunately, I think they're going to have a pretty tough season next year. So most of their games there are going to get a big head start in the spread line. They might be plus 10 against the San Antonio Spurs. If the New York Knicks happen to win by 5, well, you've beaten the spread by 15 times. So you win 15 times your bet.
Oh, I see.
If they lose by 5,
right,
you've still beaten the spread by 5, and again, you'll win 5 times your bet. And it's the same, obviously.
That's great. It's like you got a bigger reward for taking a bigger risk.
High risk, high reward. It really suits people where it's not just about being right, but being really, really right. We also offer, though, the protection of people to, put in a stop loss facility if they don't wish to ride the maximum volatility. Right.
Now, I understand there are some initiatives that you guys have called the PointsBet Karma Committee.
So the Karma Committee was formed when we came to America, and basically we sit every morning at 7 a.m. in our sort of
it's a group of people.
Office. It's a group of people. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. We sit there with bagels and coffee, and we discuss the sporting events of the last 24 hours, and if there were any sort of injustices, any sort of dodgy referee calls, anything that might have transpired, which had cruelled some of our clients of winning.
And we've seen that quite often in sports.
We have. We've seen the Saints-Rams game, and we've seen Zion blew his shoe out, and we've seen throughout sort of March
So what
Madness,
does the Karma Committee do about that?
Well, the Karma Committee acts, and what the Karma Committee does is if there is, such an injustice, they actually refund all of the money bet on that game to people.
No one. Who does that?
No one.
Nobody does that. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
Again, that's just our view is scary. That we take a long-term view on the market, and we want people to have fun with their betting.
Right.
Betting is about being entertaining, betting within your means.
Mm-hmm.
And on that rare occasion where you feel you've been sort of dudded because of an act of God, essentially, that's when the Karma Committee steps in and makes a ruling.
I like that. They should have that all over the place, but only you guys have that over the Karma Committee.
Yep.
That's great. Now, I understand you guys, your technology is way ahead of others. Can you speak to the tech angle of the of PointsBet?
Yeah, that was a big focus when we started the business, having worked at other sports betting businesses and experienced, I guess, blockage when you have your technology that's owned by somebody else and you just, essentially lease it. There was a big focus by the founders to start PointsBet with its own technology. And it's hard to believe this, but of the 14 sportsbooks that are now live in New Jersey, PointsBet's the only one that owns its own technology from back to front. And I guess what that means in simple terms is it allows us to control our own sort of destiny. We are a technology business. We're innovative. And when we come up with a great idea, we can put it straight on our tech stack and, put it in the hands of our clients. With our competitors, that's harder for them because they have to, send it offshore to a third-party operator, and they might have a queue of things that they need to deliver for other customers.
Right.
So that's a big part of PointsBet and a big sort of differentiator on why we have such a great app now, but why we, again, will continue to make that app better and better and better.
Now, you guys have some announcements on the way. I'm sure that you can't divulge right here, but you also had some announcements recently about your expansion.
Yeah.
So what's been going on with that? Is something going on in Denver?
Denver,
yeah. What's happening there?
So Denver, we announced our partner in Denver is the Double Legal Casino, and we again can't wait to get live in Colorado. It's a great sports loving state.
Why was that a pivotal point for you guys here?
Listen, I think it's a big point because it just shows now that PointsBet didn't fluke a deal or fluke two deals. That's the third deal that we've announced, and then an even bigger deal we announced later in the week was a deal with Penn National Gaming, where we have market access to an extra 5 states, and again, what that means is PointsBet has access to 10 states, and by 2023, those 10 states will make up probably 80% of the available sort of revenue to be made in sports betting. So,
what do you see for the future? Do you see this covering all 50 states of the United States, or close to it?
I hear not. I hear the people of Utah. They're very nice people, but I don't think, I don't think they like to have a bet.
All right. So, maybe 49 states?
Again, it's going to be incremental, but I think there's been great ground made, and especially great ground made by PointsBet. We're there in those 10 states. They're all states that we envisage to be going live in the next 18 months, and we're going to be a national player, and we want to have a national footprint and compete against the big boys. I think it'd be boring if it was just FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah.
You want to have PointsBet in the mix, so sort of rocking the boat with
100%
promotions and pricing.
Oh, competition is very healthy. Exactly. It's better for the consumer, quite frankly. Exactly. What about New York? That's got to be a hot topic for you guys. Yeah, sports betting in the state of New York. How does that sound?
New York's a funny state.
Is it like Utah?
I've only lived here for 18 months, but the politics in New York is very hard to predict. Sort of 1 minute you think it's might be trending in one way, and then it sort of deviates. I think in New York, the main thing is that it's a huge state. It's going to be, again, one of the biggest states, whenever it does sort of legalize sports betting. And I just urge the state to make sure that there's a huge amount of competition. And again, for the state to sort of maximize the tax revenue dollars, they need to have competition. They need to have people competing on price or doing different promotions. And we want PointsBet to be in there doing that as well.
Sure.
To sort of maximize the tax revenue for the state, but also give the clients the best experience possible, and but give them, optionality. Like I said, if it was just FanDuel and DraftKings and MGM, I don't think you'd see that type of competition.
True. What are your long-term goals for here in the United States? I mean, I think we stated that, didn't we?
Listen, I think it's just to keep
national domination.
National domination would be nice here, but listen, just sort of bit by bit, state by state, we're going to make our mark. We've had a fast start in New Jersey, and that's all down to our people. I can't speak highly enough of the people that we've hired. At the end of the day, a lot of people talk about, again, different things in a business, but it comes down to your people. Yeah. And our people work harder than anyone I've ever worked with. They really care. They bleed for the business, and they want to make it a success. And that's been part of our success story to date, and it will definitely be part of our success story moving forward. Fantastic. Anything else you want to get out there that we haven't spoken about? No, I just want to thank you. And if you do want to have any bets on the Mets or the Cy Young medal, feel free to join up. I mean, I'm betting that we are wild card contenders. We may, we may make it to the wild card. I hope so. What are the odds on that? I think you've gone from 100 to 1 into 50 to 1, so you're a 2% chance to win the World Series. Yeah. So I wouldn't be rushing to buy tickets just yet. I always lose my money. I think the Yankees are a better bet. Yeah, plus 600. Yeah, I hate to say that and admit that, but yeah, I'm doing that on camera, aren't I? At least for the 2019 season. Yep. Well, it's been a pleasure. The website, PointsBet.com. PointsBet.com, and you can go to Apple and download our apps. You can go to the Google PointsBet app. PointsBet app. Very simple. PointsBet app. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Johnny Aitken. Pleasure, man. Nice to meet you. Thanks for hanging out with us today on another edition of CEO Unplugged.